Over the years, Senior Survivor has raised over $540,000 for charity. Even with all the challenges we face this year, the traditions will continue. Senior Survivor, our one-week event where a group of our seniors are selected to partake in a competition based on the show Survivor. You can support your favorite contestant by purchasing their team's t-shirt. Each night, an immunity challenge and a reward challenge take place. Just like the TV show, a film crew records every moment. Starting in 2008, Howell High School raised $5,000 for the Mackenzie Watts Scholarship Fund. In the 12 years since, we've raised 27 times that amount, reaching our highest total in 2019, $136,189.46. Senior Survivor is the one time where our whole school, our whole district, our whole community comes together for the common good. Everyone gets involved in Senior Survivor. The week of the competition feels like a celebration. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the senior class. All of the profits raised throughout the week of the competition are donated to a charity, but this year is slightly different. The money raised will be used to build an inclusive playground right here in Livingston County. Senior Survivor 2021 will leave our community something they can see and use for many years to come. Our inclusive playground will serve the needs of 3,600 students in Livingston County with disabilities, but inclusive means everyone, not just people with disabilities. Everyone, every ability.
My name is Dan Perreault. I am a landscape architect who specializes in playground design. I wanted to be an expert in something, and I also wanted to do something that improved or had a positive impact in the lives of children and families. We had the Americans with Disabilities Act. That came out and nobody knew what to do, how to do it, how to achieve whatever this goal was. And so there was a lot of confusion around the whole topic of accessibility, and especially in parks and playgrounds and public outdoor facilities. And I think in the beginning, the solutions were really bad. And not through lack of funds or trying, people just didn't understand what it took. I was doing a public meeting at that time. We didn't really think about accessible surfacing yet. So we had pea stone, and that was what we were using. And so I was talking to the group, and I was saying that the child can, transfer here, and because we put tiles right up to the transfer, so rubber tiles were placed there, so which was impact attenuating, which is what the safety surfacing does. So a lady in the audience, she raised her hand and said, "Well, that's great, my son can get there, but what if my son falls over there in the sea of wood or sea of pea stone, and my husband, who's in a wheelchair, has to go help him?" And I was like, that was kind of the first time I started really thinking this is much deeper and more, there's a lot more to it than thinking just kids first. It's everybody that goes to the facility needs to have accommodations.
An inclusive playground leads many to think about adaptive swings and ramps. Although these are important parts of our design, we are also making an effort to include structures not usually considered.
Cochlear implants are an expensive item that people with hearing impairments will have implanted into their ears. And so plastic slides give off a static charge, which affects negatively both in pain and it can ruin these implants. And so that's why another thing that we do is we'll look at materials like a stainless steel slide. We don't get the static charge, the possibility. And so that's why on a playground that has a degree of inclusion would have at least one stainless steel slide. Yeah, inclusion is designing for everyone. So the design guidelines for ADA really are specific to people with certain disabilities, right? And not even all the disabilities. Statistically, if you took all of the children with a disability, like 100%, only about 3% of those children have either mobility issues or hearing impairments. So that's only 3%. So that leaves 97% of children with a disability who are not, the ADA design guidelines don't really apply to their specific needs. Gaining understanding of that is, I think, part of the process of inclusion is designing for everyone. When you design to achieve inclusion, you're not just thinking about individuals with impairments, with disabilities. You're thinking about the whole community. So you think about also doing things that include typically developing children. Early on when we were designing for accessibility or inclusion, there was this philosophy of putting all the easy stuff over here, and you were segregating kids based on their abilities, which is not right. And then you got the kids that have special needs that don't have all the ability that these guys do, so they play in separate things and they never get to include, they're never in working together, playing together, getting to know each other, doing the same thing. And so now inclusion is about getting everybody to play together, if possible, on the same piece of equipment where everybody uses it at their own level. If it's like a spinner, a whirl, somebody has to spin it. So now you have to have, that cooperation of somebody has to take turns. So then you start negotiating. So all of those things happen on a playground that's well designed.
Survivor Park has been designed to include elements of natural play.
Some people think that if you put brown, green, and tan on a play structure, that's natural play. For me, natural playground is basically using natural elements, boulders, logs, plant materials, and combining them in such a way that it's kind of natural. I like to kind of use the word more nature inspired. I like to design into the spaces these, it's not all about activity, it's also passive play, where we are creating an opportunity for kids who don't want that high degree of physical play. They want more of a passive play experience. And then we have these areas that we call cozy spots, where it's kind of that respite where the kids get maybe overexerted and they want to go chill out for a little bit. And maybe they sit on top of the climber, or maybe they want something that's a little more enclosed. Kids in the autism spectrum sometimes will become overstimulated by all of the activity that's going on, and they need a place to go retire to. It could be sitting in the middle of a spinner, like a big spinner, because we have that in the plan, right? Well, that big spinner, if somebody sat right in the middle of it, their experience is going to be different than they're hanging on the end of it. So that's why that piece is a very inclusive piece. You can transfer onto it, and at whatever level you can be part of the action, and you're right in there with all the other kids.
This year's Senior Survivor will be like no other year before. Our inclusive playground is a massive undertaking, but as the Howell community has shown time and time again, we never back down from a challenge.
I think your playground's going to be one of the coolest in the state. I think that people are going to be really blown away by it, and it's going to be super cool.